Hey guys, Rob or Panics here, and welcome to Graphics Tutorials episode 6. I have actually changed the name from Tutorial 2012 because I don't know, I didn't like it. So, yeah, as you can see, we're looking at social media icons today, and I've wanted to do this for quite a while. It's one of the things that I see on YouTube that actually could be a lot better and isn't that difficult to do. It's very similar to the text thing. So we'll get right ahead. You'll see that in the description there is a download for this file called icons.psd, and you'll see that there is 4 sets. There's social media, there's networks, there's typicons, and modern pictograms. I'll explain the last two in a minute, but we'll start with social media. So you've got obviously your Twitter, your Facebook, and your YouTube. So there's two versions of YouTube. They're stacked and unstacked, and these are all smart objects. So when you resize them, you'll see this is 35 point thing%. You can go all the way up to 100, so you can make it pretty big, without it losing anything. So that's just like Control T, Command T to change the size. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Then you've got your Behance or your Behance, depending on where you say it from. For you designers out there that preferably aren't putting YouTube stuff on there, but each to their own. iTunes for any budding musicians out there that want to have a link to iTunes or anything like that. T-shirt logo and Spreadshirt. One if you just want to show you've got sort of merchandise. Spreadshirt if you're specifically Spreadshirt or you want to advertise Spreadshirt. And then there's the new Twitch. They've rebranded. So there's the outline version and the single T version, depending on what you want to choose. Depends how you're setting out your stuff. So we will now move on to networks. So I've got Machinima, obviously the biggest network out there. The Yeousch, I've got outlines for the main and graphics, mainly because they're the ones that I've used myself. But then there's the entire Yeousch graphics family. I don't think I've missed anyone. If I have, I've missed Remixed. I will put that in the pack for any Remix directors out there. And obviously TGN and the new Game Station logo. Again, these are all smart objects, so you can resize them. But what you'll see is if I show you my partner template, you'll see that I actually have them preloaded into my partner template. So I have a file called social network icons, basically so that every time I make a background, I don't have to pull them in. And then in my directors one, I've got all the things like that. Now these need updating, so they're a bit sort of useless, but you see, as I started off with a square that big, and actually I've built up a social network amount that big, and sort of like I just drag them in, and you'll probably see that when I do my speed arts. That's how I do it basically. Everybody always asks me where I get my things from. That's where they're from. So what you can do is, if we just open up, if you guys have downloaded my template, where would it be? Here we are, Cosmic Panda templates. So if you open my partner template that you can download, all you want to do is create a new folder called Social Media Icons. And then if you want, I had a nice sort of like just black square here inside. And then what you want to do is just open up icons and then just copy the ones in you want. So right click, duplicate layer, and then select your template one, and you'll see it's in. And then you can just compile the ones that you use regularly. I'd suggest putting Facebook, Twitter, your Machinima ones, your Yeousch ones, and just basically as you want to use them, you drag them out. And then, or better still, you duplicate them out. So if you want to use them a couple of times, you hold Alt and drag up, and then you've got it. You've got it out of your social media one and into the rest of your background. So we're going to talk about how to use them. We're going to flick back to my partner template one, and there's lots of different ways you can lay out social network icons and sort of your clickable links as they are on partner channels. You can use them very well on non-partner channels, and I'll go into that a little bit in a bit. But we're going to start off by looking at how to style them. So let's bring up a new layer in this file, and let's make it a nice dark grey with slightly lighter one. Oh, that's not very nice. Dotted in the middle. It's not quite in the middle, but it doesn't really matter. And we're going to go to social media, and we're going to pull out. So imagine this is your YouTube background. You're going to pull out Twitter. Now, straight away, you've got your Twitter bird. Now, this is exactly it as it is from the branding. I like to rotate mine slightly because it just looks slightly nicer. I don't know why they haven't done that. But it's the same as a text, really. If you can do the same style technique as the sort of 3D version, so you hold down Alt, drag one down, and then just holding down Alt, just press down lots of times. See, I've gone 11 times. If you haven't seen my tutorial on 2D text, a lot of these things are the repeated ones. Just color overlay, set it to black, and actually that looks really nice just straight off the bat. Then we go to my standard go-to technique, just stick a nice little gradient on it and then an inner glow. And immediately that jumps out at you. You're straight away you're looking at something that's actually looking quite funky and not your straight off icon. Or you can, let's duplicate that off. What I will do, so this is minor drop shadow. I'll keep these in the file. I'll put them as an extra folder as to how you can handle your thing. So let's pop that up there. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And we're going to drag out Twitter again. Oh dear. And bring it down. Now you can see that I press Command T again and it's at 59%. Press 100 and it's back up to full size without losing any kind of resizing. So if you ever want to resize something up and down, you want to get it the right size, but you don't want it to pixelate. If you right click on it and click Convert to Smart Object, you'll make it into something that holds its original form, and as you resize it and make it bigger and smaller, you won't lose anything from it, so you won't ever get pixelated icons or anything like that. So let's clear layer style, and let's go for something a bit different. Let's go for a gradient overlay that is quite dark. So let's pick some nice greys, and then maybe just a slightly darker grey again at the top, and then just bring that in. So that is quite nice. It's basically the inverse of the other one. Stick a nice inner shadow on it, just make it very, very light. And there you are, that looks quite nice. You want to maybe bring it out a little bit, you've got quite a dark background. Stick a white glow around it. Now, be careful with glows. Glows are quite easy to get wrong. You maybe just want to bring it out like that. And I talked about a technique called reverse stroke. It doesn't work so well on dark things, but I'll show you how it works. So let's just call that dark glow. Let's make that smaller again. And bring it back. So that's now... As I'm doing things, I'm always hitting Alt and just dragging, and you duplicate a layer straight away. So I've just smacked my mic twice. My nose is really itchy. Right, let's go. So it's Command T. I'm gonna have to sneeze in a sec. So let's just clear the layer style, and we're gonna do a reverse, the reverse stroke. Yeah, reverse stroke. So you hit stroke, and then you're gonna want to take the size down to about something sensible. Like there's never a set number for these. I hate watching tutorials where people like set the stroke to 7 pixels. Well, it depends on how big your project is. If you've got a massive project, you want to have like a bigger thing. So you take the opacity down to 0, and you'll see nothing there's nothing around it now. Then set a drop shadow, and just poke it up a little bit. Poke the size up and the spread up. Make sure your distance is at 0, and you'll see you've got a really, really nice little thing. So if I then put, let's just give an example of, let's say, a pattern behind it. Trying to think of quite a mellow pattern. There you are. That's quite a nice one. That's a good example. I'll make the stroke slightly bigger. Where is it? Here we are. So the stroke basically acts as nothing can be there. So you could actually make this a nice dark one. So if you color overlay, there we are. We're starting to get there. Let's make it like nice. Ooh, there we are. How nice does that look? You've got like a nice outline, but it's not a colored outline. You can still see the pattern through your outline, and then you've just got a really casual drop shadow. I really like that for a technique. I think it brings out, you have to use it very carefully. It can become very overpowering if you start using it too much. But when you've got like a nice pattern in your background, you don't want to take away from it, but you want to emphasize it. There you go. So that's, we're going to call that reverse stroke, and we're going to take it up to the top and just make it smaller. There we are. So I'm building up a bank of these, and as you remember, guys, if you have a style that you like, so you click on that. If you go to your styles tab, if you don't have it, go to window, styles, excuse me, and then just click. So I've got the reverse stroke selected. Just click add, and then call it reverse stroke. Make sure you include layer blending options as well. And then whenever you've got a layer with nothing on, you can just click it, and it immediately drags on that exact thing. So I've got a couple of them that I use quite regularly, some that aren't as good, and then some from various packs that I probably need to delete actually because I never find myself using. But there's some merit to be had from it. It just makes your Photoshop experience a lot quicker. The other option is something completely different, is where you end up creating an icon almost. So you're going to want to let's just take a shape. Let's make a shape. Let's make a nice square. So holding down Shift to make sure it's a square, and maybe a little bit smaller than that. But we'll make it, and we'll make it a nice goldy color. So you're gonna want to fill the space on a new layer, and drag your icon over it. Now, yeah, it is a bit too big, so I'm gonna hit Command T and drag it down, still holding Shift to make sure it stays in a square. And we're going to cut the corner off, because I've seen these look quite nice before. So I'm just going to set that as a layer mask and then convert it to a smart object. It's just the way I work. Some people work in different ways. They like deleting it down. But I find that if I then want to go back and make it a square, I can double click on the object itself and then just disable the layer mask. So it gives you a bit more flexibility. Now what you're then going to want to do is you're going to want to click on this layer, click on the outside of the logo, not the inside, because you miss some pixels sometimes. So you click on the outside, and it's best to make these bigger than you intend on using them. So I wouldn't be using it at this size, maybe I'll be using it at half size, because there is a slight element of pixelation when you do use this style. So make sure you got your magic pen tool selected, you click on the outside of your logo, so you've got everything else selected. Go back to your square with the cut corner and hit the layer mask button, which is down here, and you'll notice nothing happens. Actually, the truth is, if you hide your thing, it's cut out that square from your logo from inside there. Now, don't worry if you've not placed it properly, because you can move the mask around. If you take off the little lock symbol, so you take it off in between there, just click on the layer mask, make sure it's not this is selected, and you'll see it's got the little sort of icon, the corners around it, and then just use your arrow keys to move it around. You go crazy, but I had it in the right place at the right time. And then once it's in the right place, just click the lock again, and when you move it around, everything will move. So the benefit of this is, again, if we have a patterned background or even a gradient background, let's just put a gradient on. Not that, because it's obviously our base color. This is going to look horrible, but you can see that the gradient spills through, which is quite nice because it's then the outside. But better still, you can put nice effects on it, like a drop shadow. You can have it looking like that with a very definite one, or quite a nice sort of blurred one around the whole thing, which I think is quite nice. And then maybe you stick a little overlay on it, and straight away you're starting to get, maybe the original colour wasn't perfect, but you're starting to get quite a nice effect. And actually it's a different way of handling icons, and you can do that with circles. Let's just do a quick example with a circle. Exactly the same technique, just drag a circle out. You can use shapes instead of your marquee tool. Just convert that to a smart object. We're gonna put the bird back on. Obviously it's in the wrong place now, so let's move it down. Circle's a bit too big. Let's make the circle smaller. So by doing that, when I resize it, it keeps the aspect ratio. And we do exactly the same, just highlight the outside, hit the layer select button, and then hide your thing. And then you've got a really, really nice circular logo. And you can do that with any of the logos I've provided you with. So that's the beautiful bit, is that all of these will cut really nicely into a circle or into a square or into anything like that. So do bear that in mind. Let's just bring all of the layers back up, and let's just copy this layer style and put it on here. So there you have it. There, oh dear, I'll just put in CMYK. I was trying to work out why I've done that. And then once, if you, I've done this wrong. If you copy your layer style and clear your layer style off this one, if you then convert, once you've got it in the right place and you got it perfectly, if you convert it to a smart object, you can then resize it as you wish. And it's really, I really like that as a social network. I use it quite often, and it works really nicely. So again, with this one, copy layer style, take the layer style off, convert it to a smart object. So smart object just basically means that it's that one thing, it's not extra things added on. If you ever want to change it, you can just go back in and it's still a file in itself. It does make your Photoshop files a bit bigger, but when you've got projects that maybe someone wants changing in the future or you want amending, then it's obviously a much better option. This is quite a long tutorial, I've just realised. 16 minutes. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how I handle social networking. The other way I handle it is with text. Very carefully used, but that's pretty much the same as the text tutorial. Just use stuff that is legible at small type, but looks nice. If you look at my latest KSI background, you'll see it says follow me on Twitter, and it's got the follow me in the lighter face and the on Twitter in the sort of heavier face, which I really like as a technique. I think sometimes when you've got lots of icons, it's easier to do this, but when you've got not so many, it's nice to have the words. And one thing I would say is be careful when you're using social network icons. Make them look like they're part of the same set when you put them together. So if you've got lots of different ones, you don't want them all with different styles. You want to keep one style for that background, and then maybe you use a different style next background. You can afford to make the Twitter a light blue and the Facebook a dark blue and the YouTube a red if your design suits it. If you've got like a dark coloured background, sort of greys, you can afford to chuck some colour at the social icons. But if you've got a blue background, chances are you're not going to want to throw colour at it. You're just going to want to have it to stand out like a nice orange or a blue or something like that, so that you can really have it looking nice and sort of tying in together. I think that's one thing that people need to work on, is making their designs fit and feel like they're a part of something. So that's pretty much it. What I will do is I'll put these, if I convert that, and that's a group because that's not a smart object, that's two different things. I'll put these as examples, and then I'll lock that. So you can put that on. Let's just move them into the middle. They're just examples of how to use it. They're not the be all and end all. There are lots and lots of different ways. And so yeah, use them very carefully. You'll see I've not left any layer effects on them at all. So they're completely blank canvases. One thing I would say is when you're using the Yeousch logos, they're obviously in colour. Be very careful with how you use them. They're quite easy when you've got lots of colour in an icon and other elements. It's quite difficult to make them look out of place. It's quite easy to make them look out of place. I prefer the outlined ones, and obviously I'm the content manager for Yeousch Graphics, and actually sort of the overseer almost of the brand in some ways, not in a very generic sense, but I know what looks good with the Yeousch brand and what doesn't. So I use it on my own background with the outlines. So yeah, that's pretty much how to use social network icons. As always, everything that I've used will be as a download. It will be one lovely, tasty file. But do what I said with the social networks icon in your standard partner template, because it will speed up your process so much. some people ask me why it takes me so little time to make backgrounds. It's because I've devised little ways of making them much quicker. I have all my icons ready just to pull up. I've only installed certain fonts, so I don't have to go through ages and ages of crap fonts to finally find one. And that's pretty much it. So thank you very much for watching. This has been tutorial number 6. Let me know what other tutorials you want to see. I'm toying with the idea of doing a basic HTML, and I use the word basic very, very carefully. It's going to be pretty much bare bones. So if you know anything about HTML, you're not going to want to bother watching it, because it's going to be very basic how to start a website and make it into a wireframe. And I'm sorry I can't do graffiti tutorials. I'm not good enough to, and the truth is, you just learn by doing. You develop your own style. I think people that say that there's a specific style are stupid, because it's not stupid. It's stupidity. It's narrow-mindedness. People don't understand that you can have your own style. It's your own thing to do. So I have been Rob or Panics. It's been unbelievably awesome. The last month or so with you guys subscribing and watching my videos. I'm sorry the last week or so has been a bit sporadic with uploads and people that are expecting work from me. I've had a really, really tough week. I've had some news that, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it, but it's been a tough week, and I'm trying to push through it. Next week's going to be better, because I'm actually going away on holiday for a few days because I just need some time away. So yeah, I've been Rob Panics. Please, please, please tell me what you want to see, and I will do my best to give it to you. Thanks for watching. It's always a massive, massive pleasure. Cheers. And as if that wasn't enough, I've just realised that I didn't do the typicons and modern pictograms element of my typeface. Bit of the social network icon. So I'm back, and this is not the end of the video. You're actually still watching. What you're looking at right now is the typicons element. It's a typeface. How crazy is that? This is modern pictograms. I've got them the wrong way around. Modern pictograms. And basically how they work is they're just a typeface. You'll see that underneath I've got the letters that correspond with each one. So the V is this symbol here, the W is this symbol. And what they are is they're essentially just, let's pick the O. Uppercase O is an iPhone. But better than that, it's a complete vector of an iPhone. So however big you make this, it's a font. Like they're vectored fonts, so you can make them as big or as small. I use them very intricately in my website. You'll see them here. I've got the home symbol and the portfolio symbol, and they're all here. But they're fonts. They're part of the font. So this is just a short edition. Basically, just install these two fonts. The links are in the description for they're third party. They're not mine. So I've linked to the originals. They're perfectly safe. But the way you use them is you just, as you would normally a text font, and then pick which ones you want. Now I've handily typed out which every single one is, so you don't have to work your way through. There's some really, really nice ones in here. If you're looking, these are more for sort of interface designs, but it's a similar thing. You might be looking to have some things like this if you've got a shopping cart, or I really like the user one, the F, which I think is beautiful. But there's the YouTube one, there's an iPad one. Let's say you were an app developer or something like that. There's the phone. They're generic, but also very specific, which is quite nice. And there's two sets in here. There's typicons and modern pictograms that are actually, this is typicon. So I had them the wrong way around, but it won't kill anyone. Yeah, so just install the two, and then you've got them ready to use whenever you want. They're also available as web fonts. So if you are a web developer and you're looking for icon fonts, then these are two that I'd strongly suggest you install. I've got them both working on my website because there's some elements of both that I want, and they're both free. So be sure to go and give them a download. This is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll sign off twice, but I won't make it as long this time. So I hope that was an extra insight, and you guys are able to use them as well. I've been Rob Panics, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.